I'm Bill Milnes in Doctor's Inlet. Coming up next on Making Moves, Clay County has big plans for this 30-acre site along County Road 220. Stay tuned. I'm going to tell you all about it.
Is Putnam County on the verge of change? And if so, what has the St. Johns River had to do with it? I'm Terry Casey, and I'll explain what's happening coming up.
Learn how the census is critical to getting more money for area transportation projects. And summertime can be a great time to visit the library. Learn how JTA can help your whole family to get there. I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. Stay tuned for those stories and more next on Making Moves. Welcome to JTA Making Moves. I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. Michael Blaylock is here. He'll be joining me in just a moment. But first, let's check the JTA headlines. And we begin with a train passing through Jacksonville. Doesn't sound all that unusual with the number of trains that crisscross the city every day, but this was something just a little different. This Amtrak train was preparing to do something no Amtrak passenger train had done in more than 42 years. Travels south on the 125-year-old Florida East Coast Railway. Amtrak was testing tracks, signals, and overall performance in anticipation of adding new passenger service on FEC between Jacksonville and Miami. Amtrak currently runs a Jacksonville to Miami route on CSX Railway that travels through Central Florida and takes about 9 hours. The new service, however, along Florida's East Coast would cut that time by about a third. Well, time now to bring in JTA Executive Director and CEO Michael Blaylock. Now, Michael, this was that passenger service that both you and Florida Transportation Commission Chairwoman Marty Lahan really talked about on our last show. But look at this. With all of this interest, it's really starting to heat up now.
Well, timing is everything, Joyce.
It is everything.
As we talked about in the last edition of Making Moves, we talked about this issue of Amtrak returning on the FEC coastline. It was an credible move. I think it's very, very important for the state of Florida when we start talking about offering other modes of transportation for our citizens of Florida. So it's great.
And you know, we were talking also about the fact that Amtrak was looking at moving from the north side down to the old terminal where we're looking at putting the regional transportation center. That's pretty important as well.
That is critical. And as you well know, we have plans for a full regional transportation center to be located in the La Villa area on the site of where the convention center is now. And the good news is that there is some talk going on now about relocating the convention center to other parts of the city and making full use of that area as a first-rate transportation hub. So hosting Amtrak the other day was just an exciting thing for Jacksonville. It just shows that they are serious. We have a lot of issues that we got to work through and with respect to making that happen, but it's going to happen.
When we talk about passenger rail service, how exactly will JTA be involved in that, or how are you perceiving it?
Well, the good news is that we've already planned. We have been planning for some time with Amtrak to relocate them to the Jacksonville Terminal Station. So in the future, you will see Amtrak. You will see connection to the high-speed rail for the state of Florida, and you will also see the commuter rail, of which JTA is studying right now. So again, you're going to have all of those three different lines coming into that area, giving people a lot of choices.
$200 million, we're talking about that's the cost of this new passenger rail service, but you're also talking about stimulus money. Is there any chance, or how does it look for stimulus money being used to help do this?
I think, yeah, Joyce, I think we're still in the hunt with respect to that, but I think what we're really talking about doing is we're looking at different areas of funding. So the stimulus is just one part of it, but we as a community and as a state is going to have to find ways to invest in this type of mode for Florida. Again, rail will not work in Florida without Jacksonville being at the forefront.
It just seems like we have to move forward and take the first steps to getting the funding rather than sitting back and just waiting for funding to come?
Well, again, we are the gateway to the state of Florida. So in order to really make the entire connection of rail work in the entire state, you have to start in Northeast Florida. And so that's really what we're going to have to do. So it's just like we're going to have to think of ways to reinvest in rail. And, you know, rail for many years was a very, very strong mode of transport in America, but we got away from it. So now I think we're kind of making full circle to get back to where we started from.
Back to the basics, always a good place to start.
Every day.
Thank you so much. In a related story, the Amtrak train's visit comes just 2 weeks after St. Augustine officials approved a location for a new train station in the nation's oldest city. With a 5-0 vote, the St. Augustine City Commissioners approved the site at Carrera Street and Ponce de Leon Boulevard as the preferred location for the new train station. Now, the land is owned by the FEC Railroad. St. Augustine is expected to be one of 8 cities where the service will stop between Jacksonville and Miami. And back to Mr. Blaylock, St. Augustine, when you're looking at it, is this kind of a strategic move for them to do this?
Oh, very much so. They're just being smart. I mean, think about it, Joyce. You wouldn't wait to save money to retire. You know what I mean?
True.
You don't retire.
Too
In other
late.
words, that's right. You don't wait till you retire to save money is what I'm really trying to say. So what St. Augustine is doing is getting ahead of the curve. They have the land available, and before development takes hold, they're just doing the smart thing, planning for the future.
Okay. Well, we've talked many times on this show about efforts to be more green, more environmentally friendly. Well, one place to find out more ways to be green is the annual Jacksonville Green Expo, May 15th and 16th at the Prime Osborne Convention Center. The expo, sponsored by Publix and Global Green Up, will feature over 100 exhibitors. Event organizers are encouraging visitors to once again use public transportation to get to the expo. Last year, visitors took the equivalent of some 4,800 cars off the road during the 2-day event.
I caught up with the bus in Mandarin, so I left my car in the parking lot and I took the bus. And the most interesting thing is I was able to enjoy the community. I was able to enjoy the people who were in the bus, the trees, the time to myself. I had to reflect. I'd had a newspaper. I had enough time to read it. And I got to my destination and I was like, why don't I do this more often?
Admission to the event is just $5. Now, anytime you can take that many cars off the road, Mr. Blaylock, and get people to use public transportation, that is certainly a move in the right direction, especially for a green expo. Why is this so important?
Very important. And I think what's really happening, Joyce, is we're really trying to educate. What you're seeing today, probably now more than ever, is people are becoming more sensitive to the environment. So they're looking for options. Today, I mean, we're experiencing 1 million persons riding our system in the course of the past month in March. And so that's pretty exciting for us to see that happening. So I think the more that we can educate the community about choices and about the effects of going green and the return on that kind of investment, I think we're going to be miles ahead.
Saving our environment and saving our earth.
Absolutely.
This is the second consecutive year that JTA celebrated Earth Day with the folks at the Jacksonville Zoo and Gardens. Hundreds of zoo visitors stopped by the JTA booth throughout the day to learn about JTA services. Making Moves' Bill Milnes was on hand to talk about our show and hand out copies of the Making Moves magazine, while JTA Senior Marketing Planner Leanne Walker helped the youngsters actually make some badly needed fans. You know, in these tough economic times, agencies like JTA are looking for savings anywhere they can find it. And sometimes it comes from a most unusual place, like an insurance policy. A recent evaluation by the JTA risk management team found that by making some changes to the way the authority insures, it saves nearly $100,000. So thanks to risk manager Joe Lewis, JTA has made those cost-saving measures. And you know, Michael, it's just great when employees take the initiative, they're innovative, and they find ways to save money.
And really, that's kind of what our management structure, our business model is to try to empower the employees. They're the ones that are working more closely with a lot of these different issues. And so we're depending on them to come up with some of those cost-saving ideas.
It makes a big difference, though.
A big difference.
Okay. With hardly any fanfare, the Clay County Commission recently took what might be the first official steps toward a regional transit system here in Northeast Florida. Making Moves' Bill Milnes shows us how a new JTA park and ride station being planned for the Fleming Island area is just a part of Clay County's long-term vision for transit.
Saying that Clay County is thinking ahead when it comes to transit may be an understatement. The leadership here has long been planning a partnership with the Jacksonville Transportation Authority to develop a park and ride facility at the junction of County Road 220 and Sleepy Hollow Road. The county actually purchased the land for the facility 2 years ago.
What it showed is that the county commissioners had, working in conjunction with staff, the foresight to see that we had a parcel of property that was available at a very reasonable cost to purchase for future use. So we really, it's like buying stock low. We've put something aside that will pay dividends later on.
And now, armed with some federal stimulus dollars, the JTA is helping to make Clay County's vision a reality. The facility would start as an express bus hub, shuttling residents from southern Clay County into Jacksonville, where many of the residents already work. JTA's regional planner James Boyle says the Fleming Island location is the perfect spot for a park and ride facility.
We looked at areas where we have really high density of housing. Fleming Island, that area is pretty dense with residential dwellings down there.
This future hub is expected to have a kiss and ride drop-off area, 50 parking spaces for transit passengers, car and van pool parking, and a connection point for Clay Transit. But the park and ride is only the beginning for this 30-acre site. You see, the folks here in Clay County have much bigger plans in mind. Eventually, they'd like to see a full-fledged commuter rail stop, complete with train station, additional retail, parking for 400, and a new county office building to serve the citizens of this area.
Our goal is to develop it, create some mixed use there, create the county offices there where people can do one-stop shopping. People can come in and take care of their taxes, if they have clerk of the court issues, if they have property appraisers issues, if they have county office, if they put a health department wants to build a building there, they can come in and see the health department.
And while Clay County will be the first, they will not likely be the only. Boyle says other surrounding counties are also looking at their regional transit options.
We've had some meetings with officials in St. Johns County, to look at possibly doing a park and ride lot down there around St. Augustine, the county administration complex. Baker County's actually been working with us, sending us some possible sites for park and ride, and also in Nassau County.
In Fleming Island, Bill Milnes, JTA Making Moves.
The JTA Board of Directors approved the Clay County Park and Ride at its April 29th meeting. Boyle says the facility will be up and running in less than about 2 years. Let's bring in Mr. Blaylock again to talk about that, kind of put it into perspective. How important is having a park and ride facility in Clay County?
Very important, Joyce. I mean, this fits the overall plan for regionalizing our transportation options. So we have been working with Clay County for a while with respect in terms of helping them plan for the future. And the park and ride is a good start for them. So I think we're headed in the right direction.
Okay, you're talking about the Fleming Island area, Eagle Harbor area, kind of affluent area. Is it going to be pretty difficult to get them out of their cars and onto public transportation?
Not at all, Joyce. I mean, even now in our current ridership, we have a number of our passengers who are considered the so-called affluent in that area. And I think what's incumbent upon us is to do a good job of planning a service, designing a service that meet the needs of our customers. And I think as long as we focus on that, and again, as I said to you earlier, the public is becoming more and more sensitized to the environment. And so they're looking for options.
Okay. Well, we actually sent our Making Moves cameras to Fleming Island to get some opinions about the park and ride and if people will actually use it. Here's what we found out.
I think a commuter bus to the Fleming Island area would be nice and convenient for especially those people who live out here and work in downtown. Would definitely relieve some traffic problems, cut down on the number of cars that are going down 17.
Fleming Island area is a very nice area, but there's a lot of business that I have to take care of in Duval, and I know a lot of my neighbors and a lot of people in the community would really appreciate that. I think that it would be used a lot.
Because that's a more convenience for the people, that they try, especially with that kind of economy, try to save some money.
I think for a lot of people it would, but for my schedule, I probably wouldn't use it. I personally don't go into Jacksonville a lot, but I think it's a great idea. It's save people a lot of money, good for the environment, and be very beneficial for a lot of people, I'm sure.
I think the greatest challenge you're going to run into at the current time is the fact that gas prices have receded some, and it's very difficult to separate the individual American from their automobile, which gives them the greatest amount of freedom, not only to honk their horn at the car in front of them, but to go where they want to go when they want to go there.
I think it's a great idea, especially for teenagers that maybe can't afford a car, that can't find jobs in this area. They would be able to get the bus to, take it to other areas.
And especially out this far away, and there are a lot of people here who need to go into Jacksonville or want to go into Jacksonville.
I think we could save on pollution from, everybody commuting to the landing or wherever the bus may go. And, it also saved me money, too, on driving this big expedition down there.
Still to come on Making Moves, why the census is critical to our future transportation needs. Terry Casey reports on the impact of the St. Johns River to Putnam County. And then a little later, how JTA can help to encourage your kids to read and use our local libraries. Stay with us.
I was looking to jumpstart my career, and Florida Coast Career Tech has the reputation of being the best.
If a student comes to Florida Coast Career Tech, they will end up with a career they love.
I've learned more about HVAC in 3 weeks than I have in my entire construction career.
I'm learning a lot here because the instructors are great.
Florida Coast Career Tech students are trained so well, they can hit the ground running.
Florida Coast Career Tech helped me do this.
There's almost nothing better than a baseball game on a hot summer night.
Unless, of course, it's free. Now you can see your very own Jacksonville Suns for free on Wednesdays and Sundays when you show your JTA Summer Youth Pass.
But that's not all. When you buy a JTA Summer Youth Pass for June for just $30, you get July absolutely free. Plus, we'll give you an August pass for half price.
That's right. 3 full months of unlimited travel on any JTA bus or trolley with your JTA Summer Youth Pass for just $45. And free admission to any Wednesday or Sunday Jacksonville Suns game with a valid pass.
So hit a home run with the Jacksonville Suns and the JTA. We're bringing you fun all summer long.
Anyone 18 years or younger is eligible for a JTA Summer Youth Pass. Get your pass today at the JTA administrative offices, the Rosa Park Transit Station, or online at jtafla.com. You're watching Making Moves, honored by the Florida Public Transportation Association with its 2008 and 2009 Award of Merit.
Welcome back to Making Moves. The message has been loud and clear concerning the census. Many public figures, including the president, down to community leaders, have urged us to complete the form accurately and mail it back in. Transportation officials are also echoing that same statement, urging us to be counted to help keep Jacksonville moving. Here's how.
More trolleys, more buses, more often, or even commuter rail for the Jacksonville and North Florida region are all things that could be greatly impacted because of the census. It happens every 10 years, and many frequent JTA passengers have already completed and returned their forms because they know how important the count is to all of us.
I think we ought to take it seriously because, again, I say it's help the need of the people. It serves the need of the people.
The census is mandated by law, and while most people associate the census with determining the number of congressional seats for states as well as federal money for schools and other initiatives, Steve Arrington, the Director of Resource Development for JTA, says over the years the authority has used these census figures in a number of strategic ways to serve our community.
Population for our metropolitan area is one of the factors that goes into the formula that the Federal Transportation Administration uses to determine how much of the federal funding comes back to the Northeast Florida area and Jacksonville and JTA for transit purposes.
Local passengers just want expanded service.
Because if they don't know you're out there needing to ride a bus or that you're even out there, they're not going to put a bus out there. And then if you don't drive, you're out of luck.
JTA officials say that not only will the census numbers be very important when it comes to planning future routes, but it will also be very beneficial when it comes to commuter rail.
When we plan commuter rail, we use the census data from not only Duval, but Nassau, St. John's, Clay, and so it does get used quite often in our work, primarily in the planning area, and of course as part of the funding formula.
And Michael, you feel very strongly about people filling out the census form and getting it back in, or as the enumerators are coming around talking to them, let them come in and get the information they need.
And you're right, Joyce, I really encourage the public to participate in that because it has all kinds of benefits for us. As you know, the census is taken every 10 years, and what the officials are advocating only takes about 10 minutes to fill out the forms. But more important, being counted is very, very important because it goes a long way in terms of helping us to receive more federal dollars for a host of federal programs. So that's why that counting that population every 10 years is so, so important. So we really want to encourage folks to really take part in that.
Because we don't want to be left out.
No, we want to be counted.
That's right. Well, the St. Johns River is the longest river in Florida, sluggishly winding its way through the state for 310 miles. Well, ages ago, Timucuan Indians called it Walaka, or River of Lakes. Its waters touched a dozen counties, including Putnam County. As our Terry Casey reports in his series on Northeast Florida, the St. Johns River is an important link to Putnam County's past, present, and future.
What's so cool about Putnam County? Brian Hammonds will tell you.
One of the things is the history of the county and the city of Palatka.
He heads county planning and development services.
Palatka was essentially the gateway to Central Florida in the mid-1800s. So it has a lot of history and a surprising number of very, let's just say, period structures that still remain.
We are the gem of the St. Johns River.
Former County Commissioner Linda Myers says a riverfront redevelopment project will polish that gem with restoration of historic buildings and a spectacular makeover.
Well, that same river runs straight through Putnam County, and we're still as proud and as connected. So our biggest asset, the St. Johns River.
Putnam County has a lot of positives, including leaders with eyes on the future. They know the future holds big challenges for them, and that the time to deal with those challenges is now.
Including job creation, utility infrastructure, and transportation.
Most of our transportation in Putnam County is roads, and we have 3 major highways that are on the state system. That's Highway 17, Highway 100, and Highway 20.
Portions of those highways are at or over capacity, which means no new developments that would add to the traffic load, and that could affect growth.
Can stop growth dead in its tracks.
Georgia Power and other industries employ many residents. As a result, a third of the labor force works outside the county, the lowest rate in the region except for Duval. But 14% countywide unemployment puts job creation high on the list of challenges.
There are economic issues just like most small counties have.
Dollar signs may present the biggest challenge of all.
To do any of those projects, those are long-term projects, education system, transportation, requires a secure and predictable funding stream. And so that's the biggest challenge for all of our projects.
So when all is said and done, what does tomorrow look like for Putnam County?
If we can overcome our traffic difficulties on these various segments of roadway and get our utility infrastructure in place, I think a lot of these issues will take care of themselves.
I'm very excited about the future, especially when you focus on this new $10 million upgrade to our municipal airport, expansion opportunities at our barge port on the St. Johns River, and the redevelopment project at the downtown riverfront.
In Putnam County, I'm Terry Casey for Making Moves.
Our next edition of Terry Casey Reports finds Terry in Flagler County. Look for that on our June show. Kids are just counting down the days to summer vacation while parents are scrambling for ideas to keep them occupied and engaged. Well, do we have an idea for you? It's a partnership between the Jacksonville Public Library and JTA that provides a free ride to any library all summer long or anytime.
And he trotted smack right into the great big tree.
Play is a child's work. While some of these children may be too young to read on their own, moms like Sunny Harvey say the library is an important place in her daughter's future development.
I think the library system here is amazing, and with her, we started when she was little, just coming, and even though she hasn't been able to read when she was younger, it was doing the story times and the art times, and just for her to have a love of books, just to be able to look at the pictures and to learn, you know, that there is something there that she can enter a whole new world just through a book.
That works well for 4-year-old Alyssa, who is very familiar with the routine and likes the books, but she loves the crafts. What do you like about the art time?
Making stuff. And one time I got to make a dragon. 2 dragons.
But during the summer, students in Duval County have the opportunity to catch a JTA bus to maintain their reading list for the summer, and all they need to do is to show their library card to get the pass. Families can pick up their coupons at any of the 19 library branches that are participating in this program, which, by the way, just happens to be one of the few year-round programs in the entire nation.
We're one of the few communities where a library and a transportation authority teamed up and is offering this free service for children to and from the library, the free bus service, all year round, 7 days a week.
The Ride to Read program has been around for nearly 10 years. JTA officials say more than 7,500 free passenger rides were given to kids last year. And with the summer almost here, usage is expected to go up even more. Time now for some final thoughts with Michael Blaylock.
Thanks, Joyce. Just want to encourage the parents to participate in purchasing the summer passes for the kids to keep them busy this summer. I mean, the passes could be used for the summer jobs, the shopping, for the movies, and the zoo, and all sorts of entertainment and wonderful things to see in Jacksonville, and you can see that through the JTA. So purchase the passes for the kids would be great. The other thing I like to share with you is when I think about Northeast Florida, I typically think about some of the greatest assets that we have in our area. Our people makes a big difference. The beautiful St. John River and the Jaguars. And I really want to encourage persons to participate in purchasing tickets for the Jaguar games. We are providing the stadium shuttle this year, which is a great, great relief for a number of our fans. It's a great service. But having the Jaguars remain in Northeast Florida is really, really critical to our economy. It's just a great thing to have, a great, great thing to have in our area. So I really want to encourage the corporations and the employees and other persons around our community to participate in those ticket sales.
And they're really trying to go out and really get us engaged.
And we're gonna have a great season. I'll see you at the Super Bowl, Joy.
Okay,
Yes.
I like that. We can be there together.
You got it.
And that will wrap up this edition of Making Moves. We're very glad you could join us today, and we hope that you'll make us a part of your Sunday must-see TV viewing. We're here every second and fourth Sunday at noon or anytime on the web at jtafla.com. For Michael Blaylock and the entire Making Moves team, I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. We'll see you the next time we're Making Moves.